Hello, sir. Pallab sir, good morning.
Morning. Morning. How are you?
How are you? After a long time.
अच्छा, मैं
I-
उसका
Yeah,
कैसे
good morning. Good morning, Dr. Pallab. How are you?
Madam also is here.
Yeah.
Madam is
How are
also
you?
online, yeah.
I am fine,
Thank-
madam.
Thank you for joining, Dr. Pallab. Wonderful meeting you.
Thank you. एक बार
Next time in person.
नहीं Can I see that मेरा जो PowerPoint share कैसे करते हैं?
Yeah, sir, you can share.
हाँ,
We will.
You,
Like-
Girish,
मैं-
enable him as a so that he can share.
just shall I try?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it is coming now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just
Put it
I'll
on the-
go to the presentation mode.
Can you? Yeah. Put it in.
So,
Right, it is okay.
Yes.
yeah,
It
it's
is coming.
wonderful.
Okay.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
It is moving.
It is moving also. Yes.
Okay, now I'll should unshare, no? Where is that?
No, don't unshare. You go to the
Huh.
first slide. Girish would be starting. It's Abhijit will start. or
Start in
something.
another 2-3 minutes.
2-3
Okay.
minutes. Yes.
Okay. Should I keep like that?
Yeah, you can
Yes,
keep like
no problems. Keep it like this.
Okay.
Madam, Dr. Narang will be joining around 10:30. He is
Yeah.
on his way.
No problems. No problems. Thank you.
Girish, how to do the video mute and sound mute? Wait, I am finding it.
Sir, bottom.
Yeah, I am seeing it.
Okay. Left to bottom, no? Left side.
Yeah.
Yeah, please come forward. Students, please. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to the celebration of World Zoonosis Day. Most of us know what is zoonosis or zoonotic infections or zoonotic diseases, but for those who are not familiar with the term zoonosis, are the diseases which can be transmitted from animals to human primarily. More than 60% of human infections are zoonotic, including wide variety of bacteria, viruses, parasites, protozoa, and many other infections. These infections causes mild, severe to life-threatening diseases in human and animal alike. Regarding the significance of today, on 6th July 1885, French biologist Louis Pasteur successfully administered rabies vaccine to a little boy bitten by a rabid dog. That vaccine not only prevent the child from getting rabies infection, but also saved his life. That is a significant moment in the history of zoonosis. It showed that it was possible to prevent the spread of these diseases through vaccination. Since then, World Zoonosis Day has been observed annually to honor the achievements of Louis Pasteur. One of the reasons why World Zoonosis Day is important because it highlights the interconnectedness of human and animal health. Therefore, by working to prevent the spread of zoonotic diseases, we can improve human and animal health. The purpose of this day is to educate people about the risk associated with the zoonotic infections or zoonotic diseases, and to promote measures to prevent their spread of infections. So let's celebrate World Zoonosis Day and build a healthier, safer world for everyone. To give more information on this topic, we have two eminent speakers who are expert in zoonotic infections. First, Dr. Pallab Chaudhary, Joint Director, IVRI, Bangalore Research Station. And second, Dr. Rahul Narang, Head, Department of Microbiology, Dean Academics, AIMS, BB Nagar, Hyderabad. On behalf of NIV, I welcome both of our chief guests. Please give them a big round of applause. Madam, would you like to say something?
Good morning, Abhijit. Thank you very much. I believe it's an important day, and you have already highlighted the importance of this day and the very purpose as well. So we really would like all our students, faculty, and fellows to be very much aware about it through the wisdom science which is related to zoonosis. And with all clarity, we have two very good speakers, and we really thank them, acknowledge them for making it possible. Veterinary biotechnologist whose specialty is in bacteriology. To be more precise on brucellosis, Dr. Pallab Chaudhary, currently Joint Director Research, he would be the first, followed by another medico, Dr. Rahul Narang. So I believe, Dr. Abhijit, we can get going with Dr. Pallab's talk. And as we move on, we will discuss about the zoonotic infections and importance and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. So today we have our first speaker, Dr. Pallab Chaudhary, who is a principal scientist and Joint Director, Indian Veterinary Research Institute, Bangalore Research Station. He has been working in the area of host pathogen interaction, adjuvant and antigen delivery system, vaccines and diagnostic development against important bacterial pathogens. His work is mainly focused on zoonotic pathogens like Brucella, Leptospira, Salmonella, and Pasteurella. Dr. Chaudhary has published more than 90 research papers in international peer-reviewed journals and supervised a number of PG and PhD students. Dr. Chaudhary has been a visiting scientist to several international universities and institutes. To name a few, University of Wisconsin, University of Reading, and the Fulbright Institute. Presently, he is coordinating the consortia research platform on vaccines and diagnostics involving animal sciences, fisheries, and agriculture institutes of ICAR. He is also coordinator of the IVRI component of Indo-UK FMD project, foot and mouth disease. He has obtained 2 patents and developed 2 technologies. Recombinant antigen-based lattice agglutination test for serodiagnosis of leptospirosis. And second, important, Brucella abortus S19 Delta vaccine technology. This technology has been transferred to MS Hester Biosciences Private Limited. Dr. Chaudhary has also credited with number of peer recognitions and awards. So now I request Dr. Chaudhary to give his talk on zoonosis awareness to healthy around animals.
Thank you, Dr. Abhijit. And good morning to everyone present over here. Honorable Director NIIB, Madam Dr. Taru Sharma, esteemed scientist of the Institute, research students, research fellows, and all the staff of the Institute. It is really a privilege and opportunity for me to join you on this important day of World Zoonosis Day celebration. And this day aims to shed light on diseases that originate in animal and can be transmitted to human and cause infection to human. We are very much concerned about the health of animal as well as the human. On this pretext, I'll be presenting you a small presentation, and the title goes as such: Zoonosis, awareness to stay healthy around animals. As a biologist or microbiologist, you are much familiar with the term zoonosis, which refers mainly to the zoonotic disease. In singular form, we tell zoonosis, and plural we tell zoonoses. The German physician and pathologist Rudolf Virchow, he first coined this name, coined this term zoonosis. He was not only this term, he has introduced many new terms in medical field like thrombosis and leukemia, embolism, like that. So he first described zoonosis where to indicate that infectious disease that is passed between human and animal. And later in WHO defined it as those disease and infection which are naturally transmitted between vertebrate animals and man. And this day is celebrated as World Veterinary Day to commemorate the accomplishment of Louis Pasteur, who first developed the rabies vaccine. Not only the rabies vaccine, he has also developed anthrax vaccines and other important findings like pasteurization and identifying the fall cholera and so on. All zoonotic pathogens may not cause infection to animal, but they can make humans sick. And this illness may be short-term, or many times it may be life-threatening, or it will be a chronic and lifelong infection. Keeping pet and companion animal, many times they may be asymptomatic carrier, but they can transmit like different bacterial, viral, fungal, or other parasitic diseases to human. Going back to history, if we look back on zoonotic pandemics, during 1946 to 53, there was Black Death. It was one of the most fatal zoonotic pandemic ever reported in the human history. And more than 75 million people life was claimed, and number of life has been erased from the face of the earth. At that time, it was not knowing what the causative agent of it, and they call it like divine curse punishment from the god. Later, the similar infection, known as bubonic plague, in India itself, disclaimed the life of more than 10 million people. And Alexander Yersin, he has isolated the organism, that is the Yersinia pestis, which transmits from the rodent rat through flea to human. Similarly, in 1846, we have seen cholera pandemic, more than 1 million deaths, and Spanish flu, which almost 1/3 of the population of the earth were infected by Spanish flu, and large number of population was infected and caused death to human by Spanish flu in 1918 to 1920. And in our lifetime, we have seen the COVID-19, more than 6 million deaths occurred in human. And it shows even in 21st century, with the advancement of so much, we are still unprepared to face such challenges. These are all some of the pictures I have taken from the net. Bubonic plague in Europe and Asia. Spanish flu that occurred in Asia and Europe. Cholera infection in India, Bangladesh, and other countries, Kenya. COVID-19 pandemic. Life came to standstill. So why Zoonotic Day is important? The significance, it helps us to take care of animal. In urban life, also in rural, people are keeping pets and other companion animal. So we must vaccinate, deworm, and take the animal to veterinarians to take care of the animals. It's very essential. Side by side, we have to take care of ourselves. When children engage with animal, we have to keep watch on them. Make them cautious. Never think that because animal is friendly and they are safe to touch. And also this day remembers what happened in the history on the human life due to the zoonotic diseases. So this disease can be classified or termed based on the etiological agent, like you can tell this is bacterial zoonosis, viral zoonosis, protozoan, rickettsial, helminth, fungal zoonosis, and so on. Based on the reservoir, we can term them anthropozoonosis when infection spread from animal to human, and zooanthroponosis when infection spread from human to animal, or either way when infection transmits are called emphyzoonosis. Also based on the transmission, we can tell direct zoonosis. They are all more academic importance. I'm skipping the slide. To control any infection, we have to make intervention in different points. There are 3 main points in the disease transmission, like a source of infection. There should be a susceptible host and a means of transmission between source to the susceptible host. So our intervention should be covering these 3 points. Either you eliminate the source of infection or make a preventive step to susceptible host or interrupt the transmission. These zoonotic diseases are transmitted. It may be transmitted by air to aerosol transmission, or by eating or drinking the contaminated food, through close contact with infected animals, through insect bite like mosquito, tick, and fleas. Those who live and work on farm, they are very much come in contact with the animals, and livestock are carrier of many zoonotic pathogens. Pet animals carry ticks, fleas, and worms. So we should take care of the animals to prevent our family and family members. This is a small example of list of zoonotic disease. This list is enormous. More than 150-200 diseases and conditions are due to zoonotic pathogens. Well, preventive tips are very important. Wash your hand gently. Use insect repellent or other methods to keep mosquito, fleas, and ticks away. Practice safe food handling. Avoid being bitten or scratched by an animal. Have your pet vaccinated and take them to regular annual visit to veterinarians. Don't let your pet roam free without supervision. Talk to your veterinarian about appropriate fleas and tick prevention for the pet animals. Don't eat, drink, or touch your eyes or mouth while you are handling or in close contact with the animals. Use gloves if you need to handle an animal that is or appears sick. Keep an area where animals are kept clean and sanitary. Measures should be taken. These preventive steps are very important. That's how we can save ourselves and our friends and family members. So single step of hand wash is so important. Most of the infection you can stop or coming to our body with a single step of hand wash. While talking about the veterinary practice, veterinarians are much susceptible to getting infection due to their practice in the clinics or in the field. They are exposed to many recognized and unrecognized infectious pathogens when they handle animal in the field. And to minimize the risk, protection and precautions must be taken by the veterinary doctors. Needle prick is one very important and very common, whereby veterinarians get the infection while they go for the vaccination program, mass vaccination program. Bites, scratches, kick, and crush injuries are very common when veterinary doctors go for the treating the animals. Some precaution measures like personal protective action and equipments like hand hygiene, protective gloves, facial protection, respiratory protection, protective coat, footwear, and headwear must be used during the veterinary practices. And bites and other animal-related injury must be prevented. When you handle the animal, you should wear the bite-resistant gloves or use the muzzle, and also takes help of the attendant while handling the animals. Veterinarian plays a very important role in the zoonotic disease control and management. And to minimize the impact of zoonotic diseases, veterinarians must be prepared for that, and they should have enough knowledge. And veterinarians must be included in the investigative, legislative, and advisory group. And there is always need for One Health collaboration. Field veterinarians and the medicos, jointly they should work when they suspect any introduction of zoonotic diseases or any outbreak or incidences of the disease which is related to the human-animal interface. At government level, there should be time and money should be invested, and interdisciplinary approaches must be included, including environment, human and animal sciences in the program, and strengthening the monitoring practices. That is very important. And we need more fund to do the research on the zoonotic diseases, whereby both medical and animal scientists work together and find new inquiries. And besides this, mass awareness is the most important one to be taken by the government level also. With this, I'll be showing some diseases which are of zoonotic importance, like rabies. Every one of us know is a vaccine preventable viral disease. It is almost fatal, completely fatal. Once it sets the infection, hardly there is any remedy or any treatment for the rabies. And it is mostly by the dog bite, dog scratch. So this is a picture is showing how virus is a rhabdovirus. It is like a bullet shell virus, which moves from the site of the bite to the peripheral nervous system, to the central nervous system, and it goes to the brain. and ultimately there will be coma and death. There may be a furious form, also in the paralytic form of the rabies. So before infection sets in, one should take measures to get prevention from the rabies. Once virus binds to the nervous cell, so it is after that it is very difficult to get prevention, or there is no treatment. So rabies can be prevented through vaccination of dog, and after potential exposure, one must seek the post-exposure prophylaxis. And in some cases, if it is required, one should also use the immunoglobulin or monoclonal antibodies as per the suggestion of the doctor. So there are some steps have been shown here. If there is a scratch or if you handle a sick animal, so prevention depends on the vaccinate your pets, keep your pet confined, protect small pet from predators, don't approach any wild animal when you visit to zoo or other places, keep pets out of your home, consider the rabies vaccine if you are often around animals or suspect rabies. So that is called pre-exposure vaccination. Like this, another disease, anthrax. This is also potentially fatal zoonotic bacterial disease. And it has been used as a bioterrorist organism. In USA, there was a rate of anthrax spore as a bioterrorist organism, and their life cycle, that is mainly the spore which remains in the soil, gets inside the body, it gets germinated and cause the infection. And animal dies with anthrax are not open, carcass is never open. It has been buried, it has to be buried. So that's how the spore from the soil and the grassland gets into the body and it germinates and causes the infection. Inhalation of anthrax spore is the most serious form. Also, we tell a wool sorters disease. Who work in the wool industry or drum industry and skin tannery, they are much prone to get the infection of anthrax. So who might get anthrax? The farmers, livestock handler, researcher, laboratory worker, they must be very careful while handling this pathogen. It is a high risk group pathogen. Veterinarians who work in the infected livestock, wool mill, tannery, slaughterhouse workers are much susceptible. Two different forms of anthrax. Salmonella is another zoonotic important disease which infects very large population. Mainly it is a digestive discomfort and infection it causes by Salmonella species. Swine flu is another viral disease which causes infection to human. Usually when humans are much contact with the pig, the chance of getting swine flu. There were cases in India, in Kerala, in South India, and many cases of swine flu in human. Some of the picture, H1N1 strain is very pathogenic. So similar to the Spanish flu, what has been reported as a pandemic. So H1N1 strain is very highly pathogenic to human. Japanese encephalitis, another vector-borne viral zoonotic disease transmitted by mosquito. In our country, in North India, mainly Uttar Pradesh, in Gorakhpur, there was many cases of Japanese encephalitis. This life cycle is like that. From the water birds, they are the reservoirs, and mosquito spreads to pigs, horse, and human are the dead end host. Another picture of transmission of the Japanese encephalitis. So there are reports of J from Gorakhpur, when there is a lot of interaction between or living together with the pigs in the areas where this infection is very high. Nipah virus. There is another febrile encephalitis disease of zoonotic importance, highly infectious. Such disease also have been reported in India, in Kerala, and other part of the country, in other countries like Malaysia, Bangladesh, Philippines, where mainly the beds, fruit beds are most important reservoir. Leptospirosis. This is a bacterial pathogen which causes infection in canines and other species of animals, and it is also infectious to human. And this leptospira organism can enter to body through skin and mucous membranes. It is from the contaminated water and water bodies. People usually get the infection. So that's how mainly the rodents are the reservoir of the leptospira infection, leptospira pathogen. They don't cause infection in rodents, but the urine infected with leptospira spreads on the water bodies, and that's how other species of animals get the infection, as well as the human being are at risk getting the leptospira infection. There is treatments. There are standard tests are available to detect leptospira diagnosis. Some of the pictures shows how leptospira gets entry into the water system and people get the infection. So there are specific treatments are there. If it is detected early, can be very well treated. In human, it also causes pink eye. Usually doxycycline, penicillin, they are used as a drug of choice. There are vaccinations available for animals. In recent past, we have heard about the monkeypox. It's a viral zoonosis. This is like pox-like. People get confused with the smallpox. There are infection reports in India also. People get muscle soreness, fever, headache, fatigue, and there's eruptions on the skin and face. Actually, monkeypox was first recognized in human in 1970, when there was already smallpox was controlled or eradicated from the face of earth. But there was similar incidents happened in a child. Later on, they confirmed it is not the smallpox, it is a monkeypox. It is similar to variola strain, but that is not smallpox virus. Currently, there is no treatment or vaccination available for monkeypox, but it has been suggested that even the smallpox vaccine may work to give protection some level against the monkeypox. So different incidences occur in different countries for the monkeypox. So one time it has become very serious concern for the public health point of view. But however, it has been declared that it is not much a health emergency. Similarly, we have heard about the bird flu, avian influenza, and mostly the aquatic birds and the migratory birds are the reservoir, and they pass on infection to domestic birds, and human also gets infection. Because in human, there is no pre-existing immunity against this virus. So if virus gain entry and can adapt in the human system, it may become a global outbreak. So there is a much precaution is required in the bird flu. And recently we have seen that highly infectious, this pathogenic HPAS strain, also infectious to human. Glanders, one bacterial zoonotic disease, mainly of the solipids, or Neos donkey. And there is a notifiable disease, causes nodules. And if any reactor or any animal is found positive, it has to be eliminated. And it also be used earlier as a biological warfare agent. So there are set tests are available. When skin test, mammalian test is available to identify the positiveness of the animal. And also in ICR has developed a glandar ELISA test. There is a parasitic infection, Trichinella, a zoonotic parasitic disease, a complex life cycle. Ultimately, through meat and infected tissue material, human gets infection. There is a complex life cycle of the parasite. Brucellosis, another bacterial disease. It causes infection to animals, reproductive infection in human. Also, it causes different malaise and chronic infection. Human get infection through the contaminated food, milk and milk product, unpasteurized milk, cheese, and so on. There is vaccination is available for animal. There is no vaccine available for human. So disease can be prevented to human through the vaccination of the animals. Presently, eradication program of brucellosis is going on in the country. There is also a treatment for human. For animal, there is treatment as not followed. For human, different antibiotics like doxycycline, streptomycin are used, but it takes a long course of treatment. Another disease like tuberculosis, usually it is a zooanthropolosis. Human to animal infection is common. Also, Mycobacterium bovis also can infect human using the unpasteurized milk and milk product, or contaminated or infected meat. Infection can go to human. Toxoplasmosis caused by a Toxoplasma gondii. It is a parasitic disease, and this through cat it gets introduced in the human and other animals. That's how I have mentioned few diseases. There is a list is enormous, and one can get much knowledge and awareness once go through the different other diseases. So what is the outlook of this overall the zoonosis death? The seriousness and outlook of zoonotic diseases vary depending on the type of disease one gets. Some are treatable, some cause long-term and lifelong infection, and many times it become a pattern. So it is important that to check your doctor and medical professional as soon as you think there might be a zoonotic disease you are come across. It is also an important reason to practice prevention around any animals, wild or domestic, consult a veterinary doctor. One approach is pivotal to zoonotic disease management, prevention, and control. And the takeaway message will be, even a healthy animal can pass on disease that can make people sick. So education about the risk and the effective way to reduce those risks is the key to stay healthy around animals. So we need to spread the awareness among ourselves, our friends, our families, and people around us. That's how to complete my presentation. So, thank you all for patiently listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Patel, for the comprehensive introduction on genetic infection to contributed system. Any questions? Sir, can you tell us more about the technologies which you have developed, development of lateral agglutination test for serodiagnosis of leptospirosis and Brucella vaccine technology? It will be good for the students.
Okay. Leptospira is a zoonotic disease and human gets infection when they work in the paddy field or swim in the contaminated water. And there is a gold test. It's called microscopic agglutination test, MAT test, where you need to use large number of serotypes, serovirus of Leptospira to give a diagnosis. It takes long time, and you have to, that is a agglutination test. You have to maintain all the cultures, and they're all pathogenic cultures. And to make a alternate test, IVRI has developed a recombinant antigen based latex agglutination test where they have used one recombinant antigen, LEAP-L32, which is mostly present in pathogenic strain of Leptospira. So in a simplified way, they have purified, expressed the recombinant antigen, purified it, and tagged with a latex bead. And when you use any suspected serum, you take one drop of your antigen, which contains recombinant protein tagged with latex bead, and take one drop of serum, sample serum. So just do agglutination with a small stick. You can just mix that, and there will form agglutination within 2 to 3 minutes. And if there is agglutination, that shows that serum contains anti-Leptospira antibodies. And it is a spot test. It can be done in a very short period of time. You can give a diagnosis for the Leptospira infection. Even this single test worked in different species of animal serum. It has been tried with canine sample. Even in the wildlife, we have taken some serum from the tiger and cheetah, and also from human being. Some of the serum came. Just, of course, we should not do the human diagnosis, but we could see that even human serum also works, reacts, and gives agglutination. So that is one test, and many other research work is going on Leptospira in IVRI, and also in similar line, other institutes also developing some diagnostic tests for the Leptospira. And regarding the Brucella, there is already a one very good vaccine is there for control of the brucellosis, that is called S19 strain. And that is a live vaccine. And this vaccine is being used in our country for the control of brucellosis. As I said, there is no vaccine for human. Human infection can only be controlled or through the vaccination of the animal or some preventive steps, practices what we should do. We should not use any unpasteurized milk or milk product, and we should not come very close to infected animals. Veterinarian mainly when they go for the reproductive measures, they should be taking care about whether the animal is infected or not. They should use gloves and all precautions. Regarding the vaccine, so that S19 vaccine is very potent vaccine. It gives, it's said that it gives lifelong immunity. That means a very longer duration immunity, and it is a live vaccine. And being intracellular pathogen, mostly the cellular immunity come in picture. And what at IVRI we have done, we have used the same S19 strain, and this strain has some drawbacks. This vaccine, S19 vaccine, has drawback of its safety. It is not completely safe. Even the vaccine can cause infection to human. When human go for the vaccination program, veterinarian may get needle prick. That itself may cause infection to human. And even if you use this vaccine in pregnant animal, it may cause abortion. So that's why it is said that it is not completely safe. There is some residual virulence. And third point, it cannot vaccine, S19 vaccine cannot differentiate the field infection. If you use S19 to vaccinate the animal, so they will develop anti-brucella antibodies, and that remains for a very long time. And when you go for a disease investigation, both vaccinated animal and infected animal, both will give reaction. The serum will give reaction. So you cannot differentiate. Even the vaccinated animal will show that they are positive for infection. So that's why there is a try to develop some device compatible vaccine. So all over the world, people are trying, and many have developed many new strains. So in our effort, we have also developed some mutant of the S19 strain, whereby we have targeted the surface antigen. So there was some truncation in the LPS component, so that the new modified antigen shows less virulence as compared to the S19 strain. As compared to the S19 strain. And also with regard to the DIVA property, this new strain, because of its partially defective LPS, it produces less antibody against the LPS. So that's how it may be possible to do use it as a DIVA compatible vaccine. So we have done some experiment on the mouse model, also some cattle buffalo model. So it shows it is a promising one. It can be used as a more safe vaccine than the S19. And also it has a DIVA property, also a genetic DIVA. You can differentiate. If there is a outbreak, you can tell it is whether due to the vaccine itself or it is due to the field infection. That's how some work has gone in our department.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Chaudhary, a very nice talk and very informative talk you have given. So I have one question regarding this kit you have developed, Leptospira, LAT based kit. So this antigen you have chosen, is it commonly expressed antigen among all serovars or like specific to particular serover?
It is said that it is mostly all pathogenic strain, pathogenic serovars. They harbor the LIP32. So there are a number of antigens other than this also, like LIP41, then one more was there. I'm not remembering.
Okay. So this would be very good alternative of MAT because MAT requires culture.
Yeah, MAT requires. Yes,
but
yes.
the problem of identifying the serover will be still there because you can't identify the serover.
Yeah. So MAT is the gold standard. You cannot replace this, and it is a supplementary test. You can use the LAT test just to initial phase. Yes, whether is a Leptospira infection is there or not.
So did you compare with MAT about the specificity and sensitivity of this test as compared to MAT? Because MAT is very highly specific. I think the this is again.
The specificity of MAT is very high, and this lab to lab, this is the LAT acquisition test also is considerably very good sensitivity and specificity, which can be used as a screening test at the preliminary as a complementary to the MAT. But ultimately, MAT will give you the exactly which serovar infection is going on. Of course, you don't need to know the serovar for treatment. You need to know is the patient is positive or negative.
Yeah. So this the kit you have developed, requires serum. So have you thought of using the whole blood instead, where you can do the trial in the field testing?
Actually, but the group is. Actually, I am not much aware after that. So scientists group are working. So even the whole blood can be used or not, and also can it be used as a lateral flow system? So there are these advancements are always there, but you need to identify a target antigen. That is more important.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So Dr. Pallab, hello.
Yeah. Please, madam.
Yeah, Dr. Pallab, I'm aware about, thank you for detailing out about the S19 vaccine, a Delta Per that which you have modified. I was just trying to understand, if I remember correctly, it has already been transferred to Hexter Biosciences. Is that right?
Yes.
So,
one company came forward.
So is it
the-
being scaled up? Are they being,
Yeah, that is the they are see always the mutant. No, there is a always a see we do experiment in the laboratory. Our scale is flask. We do in the flask, loose flask, or in the liquid medium. When it needs to go scale up, it has to go to the fermenter, and in that process, it requires more study and the methodologies to scale up the product to bring to the commercial level. So that part will be taken care by the company. They have specialization on that line. Beside this antigen has to be prepared under GMP GLP condition when it
correct?
has to go to field use or any trial, field trial. So that part is a part of the our what is called MOU. So company will take care of this, and actually we show them how to grow it in the lab scale, what is the how it works, and all specific media components and constitutions and tears and reagents. So after that, they do scale up in their system, own system. So that is
Yeah,
the status of the vaccine has been taken by the Hester.
yeah, thank you. So my question was that only. Are they really scaling it up, or we are
Or
still,
we are in touch with them.
you are in
So
touch? Yeah.
see in vaccine program, no, the moment LSD came, everything
Yeah.
has gone
It
back.
took a back seat. It took a
Yeah,
back seat, and
yes.
people focused on
That is their
LSD.
policy. They have to generate money. They have to find
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So priority of the company goes as per the demand of the reagent or the vaccine.
Very nice to know that. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And what Faisal was asking, so who's taking up the leptospira work?
Abhi to, with that time there was Dr. Sabrinath, after that Dr. Sophia. Now she has also been transferred. Not
Yeah.
she has gone to another institute.
Yeah.
Now that is now a question who will look after now.
Maybe Premanshu would be working.
Yeah, because now manpower has gone so low, no?
Yeah, I understand.
We have so many
Fine.
specialized lab at
That's right.
IVLI, but we don't have so many people to take care of the lab itself, to
Yes,
keep the organism survived. It's a big
Yeah.
challenge it's coming.
Yeah. So enough number of serowards were there when you were developing it?
Yeah. There are about 14 to 17 silvers are there.
40 to 70
They are used
sero-
for that is required for the MAT testing.
But
That is the big challenge of doing MAT. Every lab cannot do the MAT testing.
of course, I'm aware. Yeah, I'm aware. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, madam.
Abhijit, we can take some other questions.
So, sir, thank you for giving a nice introduction about zoonosis and going through major zoonotic diseases. So, I have some. So, you have some questions regarding your S19 vaccine. So, you have deleted pyrosamine synthetase, right? Synthetase.
Yeah, synthesis. That is, I think it is the name is WBKB.
WBKP. Okay, so this is actually O polysaccharide is not synthesized, or it is synthesized but not transported to the surface.
Actually, we are now doing the biophysical studies. One of the student. So to know exact the what is the level of truncation,
Okay.
and because when you do the SDS page now, you can clearly differentiate the LPS of the S19 and LPS of the delta part.
So, but here this O polysaccharide is synthesized. Already it is there in the cytoplasm and they're not able to transport.
They are not in the outer structure.
But it is
But
present.
we get the antibody against, we get minimum antibody. When we if you immunize, you get anti-LPS antibodies, but the level of antibody is less. And this organism is much safer. How we say? It's if you use polymyxin B, that is a membrane attacking antibiotic.
Okay.
So because of structure has gone altered, this antibiotic can very easily go and attack the membrane and kill the organism. So the MIC value of S19 and delta par is different. In delta par, it requires less antibiotic to kill the organism. That's how we can tell, yes, its structure has been altered and its membrane is more approachable by the antibiotic.
Sir, how about its protection? Like, so you have,
Protection.
can you give us some idea, like how long even wild type S19, how long is that protection in a vaccinated animal, whether it is subcutaneous, if you deliver through subcutaneous route?
Yeah, usually it is given by subcut route only.
Yeah.
And in mice model, we have seen up to 6 months. Of course, as per the Y guideline, you have to immunize and you have to check up to in 3 months or about 3 months total the testing period. So it gives protection because it is a live organism, no? So you expect to get very long protection, similar to S19. So
No, but
the duration of
after-
immunity,
Yeah.
and in buffalo model, we have done after, I think I remember it is after 10 months.
Up
So,
to 10 months.
yeah, not up to 10 months. We have done the challenge.
But you have
Challenge.
challenge in adult animals or in
Yeah,
the,
it is in the calf. The vaccination should be done only in calf, not in adult animal.
even in your mutant S19 also?
Yeah. Vaccination of adult animals are not advisable, or it is not practiced.
So that
But
means
in
you can also induce abortion in the,
in pregnant animal, it gives it may cause abortion if you do the adult animal vaccination. So it is usually recommended to do calf foot vaccination up to 6 to 8 months of age. So as
Okay,
per the Y or the Indian pharmacopoeia, so you have to immunize calf foot vaccination. That too, you cannot vaccinate the male. It is only the female.
okay.
If you
So-
use male animal, it may go and lodge in the testis and there may orchitis, or it may spread the organism through semen, and artificial insemination, infection may go to other animal.
So how
So
about the
many-
secretion of this your vaccine in the milk and urine, sir?
मिल्क में तो
अभी
पता
tested
मिल्क में तो पता नहीं है. We
हाँ.
have tested in the different body fluids. So when you give to study the safety, no, you give high
Yeah.
dose of the vaccine and test different secretions like nasal secretion, lacrimal secretion, urine, feces. So we could not see the organism after 15 days of vaccination. Usually, the moment you immunize, it goes and lodges in the lymphoid organs. Their niche is the intracellular. So that's how it remains intracellular lymph spleen.
Because that is the main drawback of S19, it can be secreted through
Through
and
milk.
urine.
So that study can be done when you immunize pregnant animal.
Yeah.
Because after a period of maybe 1 month, you will not find the organism usually in the secretion. They go inside and remain, and occasionally they may come out. And
Okay.
when there is during pregnancy, there is a surge of erythritol, and infection flares up. That's how even vaccine strain may cause infection to the animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
why.
how long is the, in India, we are doing this calf foot vaccination. So, but I have seen some papers. So they say that even vaccinated animal protection is only for 3 to 4 years. After that, there is no protection. So what is
there is a point. When I open a book on chapter on brucella, they'll write S19 gives lifelong protection. So this is what you'll find in every literature. But what does it mean lifelong? Is it does it mean till its death? It is not like that. In Western country, this term has come from there only. Their reproductive life. It is not the life of the animal. The reproductive life. They don't keep animal after 4 to 5 gestation. So this organism gives fairly good protection up to 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
It is not that till it's the death of the animal. So there is a little, with a lifelong immunity. It doesn't mean that it gives lifelong at all. It is a reproductive life cycle.
So is there any strategy to enhance the,
You don't need to do. You need to, if any vaccine gives more than 1 or 2 years, you don't need to go for the increasing the duration of immunity. You can revaccinate if at all it is possible. Or it is one of the
But
best
after-
vaccines 19.
but after 4 years, then an animal is again susceptible to the disease.
Yeah. That's why there is a new research going on. Can you use some more safer vaccine in adult animal? That is the research component. Even after
Okay.
4 years, you can revaccinate the animal, not with S19, some other, maybe a recombinant protein, which is able to give a 6 months or 8 months or 10 months or 1 year duration. So S19 followed by a recombinant antigen, or S19 followed by another mutant, which is not causing any infection or seroconversion. So like this, many things are there in vaccinology. This is like a balance between the safety and immunogenicity. You have to come to a balance.
Yeah, any questions from the students about this? If you have any doubt about brucellosis vaccine, so Dr. Pallab Chaudhary is expert of.
No, I am not at all expert. I'm just working.
This is you being humble, Dr. Pallab. We are proud of your achievement, the S19 did as per. Also, the leptospirosis, Dr. Girish, people can also interact with him.
Yeah, we have some good resource person on leptospira. Dr. Rasabrinad is in Bangalore center only. So we'll be thinking to initiate something in future. So we may have some collaboration. And mainly this, I'll tell about our institute that I have not said. IVRI Bangalore campus is mainly working on the foot and mouth disease. So even the vaccine quality control we do here. Government of India has identified IVRI as a QC analyst, and for FMD it is the IVRI Bangalore campus. So any vaccine goes to the field, it has to be certified by the body, approved body, as per the Government of India and DCGI. And we do that here. We have a very specialist team who do all the vaccine testing for the any company, any introduction of the any vaccine in the country, or new vaccine or existing vaccine. Every batch has to be passed by IVRI. So it is a huge load of work on us, and we are doing it. Besides this, there are some research work on FMD, developing new strain, thermotolerant strain, and new diagnostic tests. And we have now with UK, Parbrite, we are having a WRL India project, very big project. There are 5 components. So Parbrite is our collaborator. And we want to develop some alternate model of testing. Now the present vaccine testing is a very elaborate. You have to go to the field, identify some farm, and we have to see that animals are seronegative. Getting seronegative is very difficult because vaccination program is going on in the country. So, and new vaccine cannot be tested in a seropositive animal. So identifying a seronegative animal. So we are going from Goa to Kerala to Tamil Nadu, every places our scientists are moving to find the animal to do the vaccine testing. So this is the work we are doing. Please.
Yeah, I have one question, sir. So regarding the treatment of brucellosis, you said antibiotic treatments are available in human, but are there any other approach by which we can control brucellosis? Is there any work you know that is going on around India or abroad? In animals especially.
Animal
Yeah.
immunity treatment is not usually followed because you need a very long course of antibiotic and huge load of antibiotic you have to put for a long duration. That is not sustainable. No farmer will be ready to spend so much of money on animal treatment. So we have to go for a prevention, prophylaxis. That is the most important. Besides this, all biosafety, biosecurity, so that infection doesn't enter to your farm. Those measures are another part. but it is mostly the prophylaxis and zero surveillance and zero monitoring by the government of India. And at farmer level, they should keep their animal protected from the infected one. What happens whenever the sample comes for testing? If we find it is positive, the moment farmer comes to know that his animal is positive, he will sell it. So that's how infection spread to other part of the country, other farm, and so on. So those restrictions are important, and of course, it has to be done from the government point of view.
But
Otherwise,
as of now, there are no other therapeutic approaches in treatment
no,
of
research, there are research going on. Even our group is trying to find some new delivery system where you can use less antibiotic and you can put into a depot form, and which can last for longer period of time, so that you need to give injection repeatedly.
Okay.
That's how the new therapeutic approaches are there. It is a researchable issue.
Thank you, sir.
One must also do on work on that. One should not stop.
Hello.
Yeah.
So, sir, I'm having a very nice presentation. I'm having one curiosity, sir. So, new therapy, right, into this virus podcast. Now. So, can you please comment on this peptide biology? So, are there any peptides which are available for this brucellosis, for the brucella or the inhibition of brucella?
Yeah, antimicrobial peptides. Antimicrobial peptides are there. Question is, this organism is so tricky. It hides inside the cell where your molecule doesn't enter. So
No, this is a challenge. Right? Okay, this peptide needs to penetrate within and then needs to inhibit the brucella. So,
yeah,
any are going on there in your laboratory, sir?
no, it is not going on. But there are our in our institute there are specialized team who works on the antimicrobial peptides, which can be tried upon, because this peptide may attack the membrane. The peptide may work on different cytosolic molecules. So these peptides may be tried. This is really a good researchable area, and provided that delivery system and all things are taken into consideration.
You are commenting that it's a good research area, right?
Yes. Now you need to develop alternative to antibiotic. Antibiotic has to be discouraged in any form.
Hello, sir. This is Pankaj here. Thank you very much for enlightening us with like very good information about the leptospirosis also and the brucellosis. For leptospirosis, I would like to know that the latex agglutination test which you have developed. So, at what point of time we can detect it? Like after infection, how much time it will take? Like 2, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. Like how much time it will take?
No, see, in natural course of infection, no, even after 7 to 15 days, you get the IgG, you get the immunoglobulin G, and which can be easily detected.
So, in your opinion, for the like in acute phase of infection, what will be the best way to diagnose this leptospirosis?
So there are some ELISA kits which detects the IgM antibodies. So these things are there.
So in MAT that we can't use IgM.
MAT, it is mostly the what I remember, that is, I think it is the IgG antibody mostly reacts.
Okay.
So because until symptom is there, one doesn't go for the treatment, no. So by the time symptoms are observable, it takes about 10 to 15 days.
So at least this test can be used for surveillance purposes.
Surveillance, yeah, in a complementary to the MAT test.
Okay. So any data on the like you have planned or you are planning to do that zero surveillance of leptospirosis across?
No, there are such projects are going on in Nivedi. We have some institute, I said institute, who specifically do the surveillance, and they use standard kits. And there are also a number of ELISA based kits are there, and tests are there available.
So, so one more information that which strain is most prevalent in our country? Like is there like a specific strains or almost all the
Yeah,
strains
there are specific for cattle and canine. Canine is the Pomona strain and introgans for cattle. There are reports are there. Those are, when there are incidences, which strains are more prevalent whenever people go for the developing any vaccine. So you have to target those strain which is more prevalent in the country.
So in that case, if there are only 2-3 strains of bacteria which is prevalent in our country, then can we design a specific mat test for like a specific mat test for?
Yeah. So you needed to use all the strain. Question, when you set up the test, so panel of zeros are used. So when you are ensured, we have only 3 or 4 zeros mostly prevalent, so you can reduce the scale of test. So that laboratory can take that decision. The MET are usually done in a very specialized lab. So whenever they put up the test, they use all the strain, whatever they have. Otherwise, it can be done on a specific 2, 3, 4 strains.
And in brucellosis, you said that the lipopolysaccharide, which is like in mutant strains, it's reduced, not eliminated, right, sir?
Yeah, it is in the biosynthetic pathway, no? So it is a very
Hmm.
complex biosynthetic pathway,
So,
and the molecules are there.
Yeah. So will you get differential immune responses against those truncated
Yeah. So that's what you have to prove there. Due to the truncation of the LPS, whether your immunity has gone down or you get equivalent immunity or your seroreactivity is a different. If it is differential, you can do as a DIVA candidate, or if because being a intracellular pathogen, humoral immunity plays comparatively minor role in relation to cellular immunity. So cellular immunity is not being tempered by the truncation. So you get a good immune response.
Okay. So still it's a debatable thing whether it can be.
Research is this, yes. Even the lot of work you find on S19 existing vaccines. So research, there is a no end result or no end answer. There is every time there is a new researchable areas or new information generation.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for nice information. Thank you, sir.
You said that Gorilla has enormous impact on livestock. So why the
Abhijit, you are not audible properly. Abhijit.
Well, as you know that brucellosis has an enormous impact on livestock, but it's a very important zoonotic disease also. So for students, can you tell us why efforts were not made or being made for developing a vaccine against human brucellosis?
Yeah, there are effort is going on for the developing a human. See, in Russia, they use the same virulent strain for human for the army. Of course, it has been banned after that. And finding a safer strain, all brucella is infectious to human, you have to consider. Let it be from any species. There are many species of brucella. So you have to consider any brucella is infectious to human. So safety is the most important component of any vaccine. So getting a brucella which is totally non-infectious is really very difficult. You can get, but immunity will go down severely. So that's what I said. Vaccinology or vaccine research is a very complicated, and you need a balance between the safety and immunogenicity. The moment you reduce the safety, the moment you increase the safety, immunity goes down. And if you need a very good immunity, a live vaccine is the best one, but comes again the safety parameter. So that's how the vaccine research goes. So there are recommended antigen based, lot of products, a lot of antigen have come up, which are more safe for human use, but hardly that gives protection of that level. So that's all. You can make a safe vaccine. There are many methodologies. But getting a immunity of desirable immunity, it is a researchable issue and it is a difficult one.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving the comprehensive information on brucellosis. So please join us for tea and snacks outside, and we will reassemble for the second talk in 15 minutes.
Yeah, thank you all. I think Professor Rahul Narang has come. So from my side, my thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pallab, joining
So,
us
Yeah.
and
So
accepting this talk.
if you permit me, I
Please,
can.
please, Dr. Pallab.
Can I
please.
leave?
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Bye. See this.
Welcome back. Today we have a second speaker, Professor Rahul Narang. I'm very pleased to introduce you, sir. Dr. Narang obtained he's a head Department of Microbiology and Dean Academics at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, BB Nagar, Hyderabad. Dr. Rahul obtained his MBBS, MD, and PhD degree from Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Medical Sciences, Sevagram. And he also did MBA from Yeshwantrao Chavan Maharashtra Open University, Nashik. Dr. Narang has over 25 years of experience in the field of microbiology, microbacteriology, antimicrobial resistance, laboratory safety, and quality management. He has published more than 65 articles in various reputed national and international journals. Dr. Narang has been actively involved with UG and PG teaching, research, and patient care. Dr. Narang has been executive member of Indian Association of Medical Microbiologists, member of International Union Against Tuberculosis and Lung Diseases, the Union member of International Working Group on TB Infection Control, and Indian National Working Group on NTM. Internationally, Dr. Narang has worked with FIND, Foundation for Innovative New Diagnostic, Geneva, as a consultant for 2 years in Ethiopia. Dr. Narang has been working to establish working groups on various aspects of human health and diseases, as well as One Health involving animal and environmental health. With this short introduction, I request Dr. Narang to give his talk on Zoonoses to One Health, our journey so far and future prospects. Thank you.
This is for the
अच्छा
No, no.
मैं सीखा okay
First one, if you long press, that is for a laser sun.
okay
Second for next slide, and third is for previous.
good morning everybody hmm. Okay, so once again good morning everybody. In fact, it's a proud privilege for me to speak to so many scientists at one place, like different conferences and different lectures. They have varied audience, but here what I find that everybody is either a scientist or is going to be a scientist. Most of you are PhD students, completed their MSc, and now working on animal biotechnology. 2020 December, when I joined Hyderabad AIMS, I thought that the collaboration that we should have is University of Central University of Hyderabad and MIAB. I visited university and then thought about visiting you, but then somehow it did not materialize. Dr. Majumdar and Dr. Hegde came to our institute last year, and we had meeting on One Health. And that's how the relationship started, and it has culminated to me talking to you in person, face to face. It's all the more important and prestigious to talk in the institute that has been the pioneer of establishing One Health Consortium in India. We are taking, and in AIMS are taking small steps toward One Health, but then this institute has been pioneer. So I am thankful to the director and Dr. Hegde, Dr. Satish, and everyone here for inviting me to interact with you on One Health and our journey from Zoonoses to One Health. So I have divided it into three. I thought I'll be talking to MSc students and BSc students, but then for PhD also it's 5. So I'll talk about our past experience and something about our work in AIMS BB Nagar. And in the end, I'll talk about what we think about how we can collaborate with each other to establish One Health in Telangana in particular and across India in general. So I was listening to the previous speaker where you have been discussing with him regarding leptospirosis, brucellosis. So it was in 2011 when we received an email from ICMR New Delhi that they wanted to establish a joint project between Indian Council of Agricultural Research and Medical Research on zoonosis. And they wanted medical institutes and veterinary university to work together. So MAPSU in Nagpur and MGMS Sevagram in Sevagram, ICMR wanted them to work together. And believe me, from 2011 to 2014, the ego of a medical doctor and veterinary doctor is so much that we had multiple meetings. All of them, they were aborted after some time. But eventually, we came to a conclusion that for collaboration and cooperation, unless until we have understanding and respect of the other discipline, we cannot proceed. So in 2014, we started the project, completed the project, and I'll show you the results also. So that was the surveillance of select zoonotic diseases in central India. And then ICAR, they funded this niche area of excellence for MAPSU. And then we worked in state of Maharashtra and Telangana on acute encephalitis, as well as Japanese, that means acute encephalitis syndrome and Japanese encephalitis in particular, in partnership with various organizations and IVRI and both veterinary as well as human organizations. And this was the area where we worked. So 8 districts from Vidarbha, Maharashtra, and that time 4 districts, now 12 in Telangana. To work on zoonosis, we had to establish a system. So we established a health and demographic surveillance system in Maharashtra. But it was like almost 50,000 population, but the population that we worked on was 10,000 for different diseases, including brucellosis, leptospirosis, bovine tuberculosis, that means zoonotic tuberculosis, listeriosis, and scrub typhus. So scrub typhus, it's controversial whether to call it zoonotic disease or vector-borne disease, but then we did work on that. Dr. Soumya that time was the Director General of ICMR, so she visited our field area along with Dr. Mohan Gupte, who was heading this task force in ICMR. And that's how we worked, because the zoonosis and animal diseases, unless until community is involved, nothing will come up. Medical doctors, while they sit in the hospital, they only look at the patient, his or her symptoms and disease, and finally give treatment. But what is happening at the community level, what is happening at the family level, nobody knows and nobody tries to understand. So we actually went to the villages, worked with them. So all our projects were community-led projects. Whatever they said, we discussed with them, and then what was scientifically correct, that we implemented, and that was accepted by the community. So the outcome of our studies, number one was we found that among the fever cases in children and in adults, after ruling out most of the routine diseases, The remaining cases, 6% of them, they had brucellosis, and most of them, they were animal handlers. 12% had leptospirosis, and 18% had scrub typhus. So, at that time, no one was looking for these diseases. People were more concerned with malaria and dengue and typhoid and other diseases. But when our joint efforts they took place, so we found that these are the diseases that we should look for. And somebody was asking about the strain, so I want to share that Leptospira santarosae was found, and this was confirmed in Port Blair National Research Institute. So till that time, no one had reported santarosae from India. People know that it's found in Japan and other countries that side, but India, no one has reported. Then somebody asked about the vaccines for leptospirosis. The variation is so much that it is almost impossible to develop a vaccine for leptospira because people were thinking about interrogants and other serovars, but then if Santa Rosa is there, and there will be others also, so it will become very difficult. So all our studies starting with fight in 2011 till 14, and then the actual studies that culminated into establishment of National Institute of One Health in Nagpur into 2021. In 2018, I presented a slide where I told microbiologists, medical microbiologists, that we have to look at the penumbra and go beyond the conventional diagnostic microbiology and clinical microbiology to public health microbiology and One Health microbiology. So that was 2018. Now I personally believe that we have to look beyond penumbra, because microbiology is not just restricted to animals and humans, it's beyond that. So then, like I told you that in 2020, I shifted to AIIMS BB Nagar, Hyderabad, that was being established. We are just 3 years old, but still we have been working on Zoonoses and One Health. Initially, it was tripartite agreement. Now the fourth partner has also joined for One Health. So in addition to WHO and OIE, we also have FAO and UN Environment Program that are partnered to One Health. And like I told you, everybody knows here that NIAB was leading this consortium comprising of different partners in India for One Health. So that is what we want to carry forward. If we are talking about One Health, then no institute alone can work on it. So that we had understood right from the beginning. So, and Hyderabad gave us a platform where large number of national and state level institutes, they are there, and they were working on different aspects of zoonosis and One Health. So we tried collaborating with them and develop partnerships for human diseases, animal diseases, environment, as well as food. And we have developed, signed different MOUs with these organizations in Hyderabad and across India. I have come here personally if we can develop such collaboration with NIAB. So Government of India was watching our efforts. So recently they have declared us as regional coordinator for One Health in Telangana, and they have granted us access to Karnataka state also. So we will be working with state of Karnataka and Telangana on One Health for the national program on One Health for prevention and control of zoonosis. So this is what we believe in, that we need community support We need veterinary and animal husbandry institutions. We need basic sciences and research institutions. And that's how I felt very happy that I have come and I'm talking to a research institute, applied sciences and translational medicines and other medical colleges and teaching institutions. AIMS being a centrally funded institute of national importance, autonomous body, blah, blah. So Government of India initiatives, whatever they are, we have to undertake them. Now, government has also started talking about integrative medicine and integrative health. So today, Dr. Sangeeta, who is our research dean, she has a meeting with NIPER for integrative medicine. Digital health solution. Yesterday, we had meeting with ministry, and then they were asking us about the scan and share for patients. So that also we have to undertake, and we have to develop different collaboration. So there are like when we started working on, we started putting in projects to different agencies, and we have been working on different aspects of zoonosis, in particular AMR and One Health in general. So these are like almost 14 projects. Some of them, the funding has already come. The rest, they have been technically approved. So let's talk about certain projects that we have submitted and how we have tried to encompass One Health into the sphere of AIMS BB along with other partners. Now, why I wanted or why I selected this topic, because Dr. Hegde will know and Dr. Majumdar already knows that to work on various aspects where research, human and animal partners are working together, it becomes essential that we are on a same platform talking the same language. Otherwise, the conflict is going to arise. So, and then I told you that community is another major stakeholder, and of course, ministry, state and central government, they are major stakeholders. So we have to bring everyone on the platform. And why I selected this topic, because if you are going to be scientists, that you will be, and you have future is One Health, future is genetic, future is immunology. So if but then everything has to be put in one sphere. So if you have to work, you have to think in such terms that automatically people come on the same platform. So our first project, we call it Nava Nishche, but then it's like natural water resources and non-point water content pollution leading to infections and syndromes in humans, and at community level, human-animal environment interface. So if it is One Health, it has to be interface between animal and humans. And these are various collaborators and various departments of AIMS BB that are working together. What do we want to create in this Nava Nishche? Basically, we are doing water surveillance. This was a project funded by Rockefeller Foundation, where they were looking for SARS-CoV-2, but now it has been extended to other infectious diseases as well as antimicrobial resistance. We are doing this targeted and untargeted sequencing, but major thing is, I told you that in Bidhar or Maharashtra, we worked on health and demographic surveillance system. Now we have enhanced the scope of that, and we have made it like One Health demographic surveillance system. We have already started household survey, and we are mapping 32 villages in Yadadri Bhuvangiri district for humans as well as their animals, and the village level data for those that area. Initially, taking two diseases, diarrheal diseases, because that was low hanging fruit, and febrile illness. And how we select these villages means if you become when you are researcher, you will be researcher. So you have to decide what population to take if you are working with human population and how that population is interacting with animal population. So we actually screened all the villages of Yadadri Bhuvangiri district and found that there are 35 villages at least where the animal density is very high. So we selected those villages. And then there is the river Musi that flows across city of Hyderabad and goes to Yadadri Bhuvangiri district. So we want, and everybody knows that most of the sewage goes to river Musi, and that water is being like taken to the fields and then thrown back to river Musi. So all those pollutants, they are going to people. We wanted certain villages like Brahmanpalli, Sangam, that were there on river Musi, and there is another tributary also. So what we wanted to see how it is different between the tributary and the river Musi that carries the sewage. And then there are certain villages that have lakes but not connected to the river. So in phase 1, we are trying to establish a temporary center in Yadadri Bhuvangiri district with 8 villages initially with 20,000 population, which will eventually be expanded to 150,000 with equal number of animals there. In the phase 2, we want a permanent center. Recently, yesterday, in fact, we have been granted this BSL-3 laboratory, and soon we will get the Center for Advanced Research. So we want to establish that permanent center in the year 3, 4, and 5. As one in Ames BB Nagar and the other one in Asifabad. Asifabad, you know, is a tribal district and particularly vulnerable tribes, they are there in Asifabad. And phase 3, beyond 6 years, we want a self-sustainable center because ICMR and other agencies will fund only till 5 years. And we want to include climate vulnerable districts of Telangana. We already have data from them from our previous studies. And eventually we want to go to Eastern Ghats because there is one scientist from University of Hyderabad, Reshma Ramachandran, who has already modeled Eastern Ghats till 2050. Like I told you before that diarrheal diseases were the low hanging fruits. So we wanted to take them initially. What we want to know, if we don't go through all these projects, what we want to know that diarrheal diseases, if they have to take place, it's either through food, the organism will enter through food, or through water. But then those water sources and that food material can always get contaminated with animal feces. So animal agents are likely to enter human body and cause disease the way it had caused leptospirosis and it had caused brucellosis in our previous study. So we want to know now exactly which viruses and which bacteria and which parasites are there that are causing disease in children less than 2 years, because they are the ones that do not go outside the house. So we will start with them, eventually go to children up to 5 years and try to find out what are different organisms. So, but then any study that we plan, we have to have some baseline data. So a pilot has to be conducted. So we conducted this pilot in the area where we wanted to include. And that time we only looked for soil transmitted helminths. If they were there, then the children, they are getting exposed to the environment, and they are also falling sick of the organisms. The best finding of this study was while people claim that soil transmitted helminths are like from 20% to 50% of the children, we found only 4 children with these eggs or cysts, basically eggs if it is helminths. What has happened? This study was conducted during COVID, number one. So, and all children, they were giving albendazole, all thanks to our ANM. They could not go out of the house during COVID time. And Chief Minister's plan of supplying piped water to these villages and Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, everything has worked together to control these diseases. So now, if soil transmitted helminths are controlled, but if those villages have large number of animal population, now chances are that it will be animal agents that will be transmitted somehow to this population and cause disease. So ultimately, zoonosis and one happen. That's what we want to go ahead now. Another disease that we studied in our previous studies was zoonotic TB and bovine tuberculosis. Day before yesterday, we presented these findings to ministry, where cross-sectional study was conducted across India by Pennsylvania State University. I don't have those results right now, but then we know that zoonotic TB is there. Now, Government of India wants to eliminate TB by 2025. They have already controlled human TB, pulmonary, extrapulmonary, childhood tuberculosis. So if we control everything, then what will be left is the zoonotic TB. So same as diarrheal diseases, we have controlled other kind of diarrheal infections. What will be left is the zoonotic diarrheal diseases. What will be left will be the zoonotic tuberculosis. So that's how it goes. And we are, like we mapped various febrile illnesses in Vidarbha, we are also trying to do it in Yadadri Bhuvangiri district. This data also has to come up, but then we know that again, scrub typhus and leptospirosis are there. Brucellosis is less in this area. Second disease that was again that we could handle was severe acute respiratory diseases in children, because after SARS-CoV-2, everybody has become aware. People come to the hospital and they submit samples. So we are trying to see, in addition to COVID, now since COVID is already declared over, so what are different agents that are causing disease in this district? I also, so that was like human aspect and animal aspect, but then One Health encompasses environmental aspect also. So what is happening in the environment and what is happening at the animal-human interface, that we wanted to see. So we set up this pathogen surveillance system beyond SARS-CoV-2. The first phase was SARS-CoV-2, so second one is beyond this. So Hyderabad cluster, CCMB as well as AIMS are partner for this, and we have started collecting samples, and results will soon start pouring out. This is what I was talking about. So River Musi, water is taken by different pumps to their fields, and then it comes back to River Musi. We went to a village where 50% of the population had fungal infection. We went to another village where there were nodules, and when we tried to see histopathologically, it was again fungus. So many things are happening. We do not know right now, but eventually, if we start working and results start coming out, we will know what is happening, what different diseases, whether of zoonotic origin or otherwise, they are common in our district. And new water reservoirs are also coming up. So how they will affect, how vector-borne diseases will be affected, that is another question. So we are also setting up a system where we want to see how Aedes mosquitoes, they are changing their behavior, if they are changing, and how the disease pattern is changing along with National Institute of Virology. So while we map these villages, for zoonotic as well as environmental diseases. So we saw that different sewages and different kind of areas which that we have already selected, and we have selected the areas where the sewage will start and it will end in the village. So we are taking samples from there, and this is how we do it. So environmental aspect, right? And food, of course. Yes. So, okay, so I didn't want to go into detail of the zoonotic enteric pathogen. So what we are doing this study in two phases, or rather three phases. Phase one, where the children have acute diarrhea, we will try to isolate those organisms and have their molecular marker. Phase two, after 3 months, we want to see, examine these children's stool samples once again if those agents are still there in the intestine, even though the diarrhea has subsided. Phase 3, which we are doing with the ICAR, National Meat Research Institute, where like I told you that it will be children less than 2 years, and we expect that they will not go beyond their household. So if they are exposed, they will be exposed to the animals that they are there in their household. So there, the veterinary partners will go to those animals, take their samples, and then we have molecular markers from acute disease, from if they are continuing their presence in the intestine, as well as from the animal. So that way we will be able to not exactly prove, because we try to prove it for non-tuberculous mycobacteria also, but then we could not come to a specific conclusion that this has come from animal to human, because working at the animal-human interface is extremely difficult. Still, we may have some idea that the organisms that are there in the animals and that have caused disease in children less than 2 years, they have same markers or different markers. But I cannot vouch that it will prove that, okay, this particular agent is causing it. Like I told you that we are doing it both ways. So we are untargeted sequencing we are applying, but for at least 2 agents, E. coli and Cryptosporidium, we are doing it specific. So, but because we cannot go beyond that, we wanted to include only E. coli, but then they said that, okay, let's include one parasite also. So that's what we are trying to do. Like I told you that we are doing this Rockefeller study. So we are trying to look for resistance markers in the environment, in the animals, as well as humans. And I'll come to that. Like I told you that we are working in Yadadri Bhuvangiri district, which is a rural population having a lot of animals. But then we also have another population in Asifabad, which is tribal population, particularly vulnerable tribes. They do have animals, but they do not have contact with other people. Their environment may be different. So we do not know about that population. I read some books and certain articles on anthropology which have worked on tribes in Adilabad, but they have worked on different aspects, different than what we are working on. So what we want to set up there is a Community Resilience Resource Center under CSIR funding, DSC funding, DSC funding. And this is how we want to work on. We know that it's the second least developed district in India. It's an aspirational district, and it's a climatically vulnerable district out of 5 districts in India. And we want to establish this center starting with Radanna, because Radanna is connected through rail line from the.
One moment.
Okay.
नहीं तो एक मिनट हेलो
Alright. So, okay. So the project that we have written for this is, we call it Satkriya or Noble Deeds, like just like Navanishche. So it's sustainable approach to achieve health for all, community resilience, integrity, and young adaptation with dignity. Because anything you do for the community, it has to be done in a dignified way. If you want to impose something on them, they will never accept it. So there we want to establish the CRRC and health for all. We will target communicable and non-communicable diseases. Malnutrition is another point that we want to cover in that population. And we want to know the microbiome also. So Mr. Rahul is a district collector there who has been able to tackle malnutrition in a major way, but still there are certain children who have not responded. So what happened to those children, whether their microbiome was affected, that we want to see. And we also want to establish a demographic and surveillance system, but not one health demographic surveillance system like we are developing in. Yes. So, and we want to like pilot test it in one village and go beyond that, and then other 7 sites. बंद हो गया यार okay. So in that tribal population, like I told you that if the climate is changing, then these vector-borne diseases will also change. So we want now, right now, the data from Telangana state shows that there are very few cases of falciparum malaria. There are few cases of vivax malaria. But if climate changes, and if people have to keep water inside the household, then Aedes is likely to be more there. And the other this. Anopheles will also may change its behavior. So first we want to know the baseline data. So in that baseline data, we want to know how vivax malaria is changing its pattern in that district, number 1. We want to know how Aedes is changing and how the diseases caused by Aedes are also changing there. And the third project that we want to study there is sexually transmitted diseases. It is not like zoonotic, but then since we are studying that population and their diseases, such diseases have not been studied there, so we wanted to include that. So this is what we are doing right now, submitted proposal, working towards establishing this One Health demographic surveillance system, collecting samples. We do not have results right now, but soon they will start pouring out. And this is how we work. Pragya Yadav is in charge, BSL4 laboratory in NIV Pune. So she came and addressed our students. And then we had with Dr. Majumdar and Dr. Hegde this workshop, interactive workshop on One Health. We also celebrate One Health Day, like we are observing Zoonoses Day, World Zoonoses Day here. We are working with different people and different organizations in Telangana. So Dr. Barbude is here. And then antimicrobial resistance you talked about, so that also we do. फिर से बंद हो गया भाई. And we are starting postgraduate diploma in One Health. We have already got approval from our standing academic committee. Now, National Centers for Disease Control and Johns Hopkins University, they also want to collaborate. So probably we will be able to give a joint diploma to the graduates and postgraduates. And this is what, okay, I'll take some more time. Till now, what we have done, we are trying to look for human diseases, animal diseases, environment, as well as climate change. But then I told in the beginning that we have to look beyond penumbra. So that was penumbra. Now what we are trying to see beyond penumbra, because the diseases are not limited to a particular season or particular year or particular age. It's a continuous insult or continuous damage that is happening to human body. And it's the continuous damage that is happening to animals as well as vectors and different pathological agents. And that's how the agents, they are changing their virulence patterns. And that's how the agents, they are changing their antimicrobial resistance pattern. And that's how the humans are becoming more and more vulnerable to such diseases. And eventually, the humans will suffer from infectious as well as non-infectious diseases. And soon, very soon, we will know that there are lot many linkages than we know till now between infectious and non-infectious diseases. And I believe that some of you will work on these aspects and try to figure out how these chemicals and pollutants and everything and environmental changes, they are affecting us. Now, like I said before, that nobody can work in isolation, whether human scientists or animal scientists or doctors or this or that. Same way, we cannot ignore what are our practices for health and for disease. We talk about modern medicine. Now we have started talking about integrative medicine. We say that Ayurveda doesn't have evidence, but then something that has been working on for thousands of years and something that has been working for last 100, 200 years. We say that that has evidence, the other one doesn't have. So what we want in AIMS BB Nagar, we want to synthesize evidence for various pathies. If you look at the newspapers, they say mixed pathy, this, that, allopathy are fighting with Ayurveda, Ayurveda is fighting with homeopathy, homeopathy, they say it's a pseudoscience, but then they are there and people have been using them since long. So we made this model, we call it like salutogenic alliance model to achieve Atmanirbhar Ayushman Bharat, because that is what the government is saying, Ayushman Bharat. And we know that like ICAR and ICMR have to work together, these different modalities of treatment, as well as for health, they have to work together. So Ayushman, we say Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, homeopathy, Siddha, homeopathy, mind, body medicine, allopathy, and naturopathy. If put together, integrative medicine, and integrative medicine has to work for human health. So One Health, when we talk about, then we have created a model which we call as a double sandwich model. We have sustainable development goals that have been given by UN. Now, though if we divide those goals, they are pertaining either to the environment or to the society or to the economy. But then these goals cannot work, again, like I said, in isolation. They have to work hand in hand with each other and different aspects of human health and disease. And that's why we have put One Health on the top and One Health below. This is quite complicated, but just I want to share that we since we are working on human and animal health, we have to share data with different organizations. We have to receive data which are working at the community level. So that's how we have put AIMS Nagar or any other INI in between and working with different organizations in a collaborative manner to generate a database that will be useful in the future. This is another model which we want to implement, and we are already doing that in AIMS Nagar, because we also know that science cannot function alone, and this 150th edition of science has already mentioned that we have to work with HA. So now STEM, they have put it as STEAM, like they have put arts into it. So in AIMS Nagar, we have made this model before that. So we want to work with different agencies that are working on science. We want to work with different agencies that are working on arts and humanities and social sciences. And we want to work as integrative medicine. Salutogenesis is the study of health. Most of the time, medical science talks about study of disease. We want to study the health, because I come to another model. And like since we are INI, so this academics and patient care and research is our main agenda. And for this reason, we like I told you that we have developed collaborations with different organizations in Hyderabad as well as outside Hyderabad. Government of India has been very kind in giving us status of viral research and diagnostic laboratory, regional coordinator for One Health, containment lab, I told you yesterday it was sanctioned, and Center for Advanced Research on One Health will come up eventually. And we wish to become WHO collaborating center for One Health after like 2030, within 2030. This is what I have been talking about salutogenesis, because we cannot keep on talking about disease all the time, whether zoonotic or otherwise. 95% of the population across the world is healthy. We have to talk about healthy humans and healthy animals, and we have to maintain them healthy as sustainable development goals. If they fall sick for certain reason, they can always enter the health system and get cured for their communicable as well as non-communicable diseases. But if they are healthy, then we have to take care of their health, good health and well-being, because like I discussed before, that there is a cumulative trauma of communicable and non-communicable diseases while we progress throughout our years. Right from the child mother's womb till to the childhood, adolescence and elderly, they will keep on having these diseases. So for that, we I discussed that Navanishya, Satkriya, and then there are other projects also that we are have planned. Which we believe that they can work on salutogenic approach. Yeah. So, sir, you talked about AMR. So this is our model for prevention of AMR in the hospital. And we know that it's not only medical doctors who are overprescribing, it's the over-the-counter drugs and then leftover medicine and everything. So we have to create awareness in the community that the medicine in any form, if not prescribed, is not good. But that will take a long time. We have been so used to using what was prescribed 10 months before and taking that again, that it will become difficult, but still we are trying to work on it. So we call this project as Praman, preventing resistance against antimicrobial agents through awareness. So that's how we have to make the community aware, and we have to make everyone accountable who is prescribing and who is dispensing, and networking, of course, with different organizations. Okay, एक पीछे चलना. Yeah. So and then like you said, we have to talk about antimicrobial resistance at the interface. So we call this model as curbing resistance against antibiotics in human animal plant environment interface, crab at hip. And here, if you see that we are talking about antibiotic use in the farm, the antibiotic use for animals, and pollution. River Musi, I talked about this non-point source pollution and surface water runoff. That means environment is also contaminated. If antibiotics are there in the environment, the organisms are likely to express their AMR genes. And if they are not there, then they are likely to have it from the other organisms in their vicinity. And then, of course, this AMR in the hospital has also to be tackled. This is how, in a holistic way, if we wish to tackle AMR, it should be done. And this model we had sent to this American Society of Microbiology annual conference in Texas, and this was accepted there. Okay, now, like I told you that the government has been talking about scan and share. That means digital health. We have to follow that. They want to talk about drones in health. So this is another model and another project that we want to work on. I already discussed with you Nava Nishchay and 35 villages in that. So we have selected 6 villages in that field practice area where e-Sanjeevani, that means telemedicine, we will use. We are already using that, so we call it as Dr. Aapke Dwar Par. And then we also have one rural health training center in Yadadri Bhuvangiri at Bomal Ramaram. So we will have expert advice and investigation will be raised while the patient is having telemedicine. The samples will be collected by the ANM. And we will use drones to ship those samples, because if somebody is coming from there, it takes some time and then it's not very cost effective. And the medicine, again, can sample report prescribed medicine and other advocacy material can also be sent back. So this project is already sanctioned and we will start working on it. All right. Okay, so I talked about Vision 2030 now for AIIMS Bibinagar. This is what we believe that we should have. And so I have already talked about WHO Collaborating Center, but what are our deliverables? So we want to deliver, we want to prove these models, and we also want to model how climate change is affecting diseases, how pollution is affecting diseases, how River Musi is affecting diseases, then prediction, prevention, and control of infectious diseases, evolutionary aspects of organisms and their hosts and vectors, diagnostic drugs and vaccines. We are also have been made center by Government of India to validate newer diagnostics, and anthropological aspects. Unless until we interact with the community, we cannot go beyond the hospital. So now we have collaborated with University of Pune, Central University of Pune, their anthropological department, and we are submitting a joint project. So what we want to do, from susceptibility of human beings, we want to take them to resilience, that no matter COVID comes or climate change comes, there has to be resilience in humans as well as animals and their environment. And we have to talk about sustainability of these programs and models and projects. And we have to talk about economics of this. So question comes, like NIAB, like AIMS, like other organizations, how they can be self-sustainable. Because government is putting in money, but there is certain limit. After that, government will say that you have to become self-sustainable. So how AIMS can become self-sustainable? We have one patient care component from where we can earn money, but then that is one small component. We have to become self-sustainable in a manner where we can sustain our research, where we can sustain different programs that we run for the community. So inputs like so infrastructure cost, human resource, recurring cost, indirect cost, and then there is impact. Everything has environmental. So what we are trying to establish is a healthcare ecosystem around AIMS, at least starting with those 35 villages, going to climate vulnerable district, and then covering whole state of Telangana and Eastern Ghats eventually. Highly ambitious, but then achievable, I know. We need partners and collaborators for this. And this is how we measure our output. One, disease management. I talked about health promotion, salutogenesis, increased economic resilience of the community, because once the institute comes up, many activities come up there. Capacity building of human resource, innovations, patents, role of faculty in industry, project overhead, job opportunity, wealth creation for partners, and wealth creation in the vicinity of the institute. So that is how we have to work on. We have to also find out break-even period for this assessment, because we have to tell the government that okay, now we become self-sustainable. All right. So now Prime Minister has another ambitious project of Prime Minister Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission. So now yesterday we have got this land, and we have got the project also to establish BSL-3. And these are now last slide. I'm finishing. Okay, 2-3 more minutes. So I told in the beginning that we want to establish a center for advanced research where we are seeking collaboration with NIAB for advanced research on One Health in Telangana. So we have 3 domains. One is academics, patient service, and research. That is like for AIMS, we have to have that. And in addition to that, we want to work on these aspects which we call as 6 J's. So Jan, Janwar, Jangal, Zameen, Jal, and Jalvayu, because these are interacting with each other. And we have these 3 C's for this collaboration. So we need collaboration with different partners: communication, cooperation, coordination, consensus, commitment, and capacity building. So this is what we believe, that past is there. We have to assess the past. So climate change is reality. Anthropocene is reality. We have to build infrastructure to tackle that, and we have to innovate in the present to build a promising future. So with this, I thank you all for listening to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for giving an overview on World Health and your institution efforts towards World Health, your ongoing projects at health level.
Nice talk. I have a question. You showed that data on leptospirosis is 12%.
Right.
That was from, connected to whole year or only to monsoon season?
Actually, that was 3-year project, and we in the first year we included every febrile patient to the study. So that was hospital-based study, 1 year, complete 1 year. And we know that, okay, now since you talk about weather change, so the moment monsoons arrive, fever cases also arise, right? And the first fever cases that we see is leptospira. And after some time, shrubs will come up. After, say, 1 month after the first rain, scrub typhus cases will also start coming in. That is there. So the changes along with weather are there. We have published this article also, I'll share with you. But then across the year, there have been cases with leptospirosis and scrub typhus in that.
This is from Telangana.
No, it's from Vidarbha. Telangana, we worked on acute encephalitis syndrome as well as J.
And have you found any cases in children also?
Yes, both children as well as adults.
First case in children.
No, see, like that's why. So first year was hospital-based study, and second year onward, that means for next 2 years, we did community level study where we screened 10,000 community every week for any fever that they had. Then also we found leptospira. So both hospital-based, because in hospital you find concentrated cases, but in the community you will find individual cases. So that also we have done, and that data also shows that these diseases are there across the weather season.
So this zero was confirmed, this row was.
Oh yes, all see, like somebody was also talking about this IgM and IgG. So we used the IgM ELISA initially, and all those, and IgG ELISA of course, and all those that were positive, they were, the serum samples were shared with the national ICMR regional RFI. Zero testing was done, and we have that, and we published. Yes, and then we also collected like both paired sera 2 weeks apart, and there was rising titer. So whatever serologically and microbiologically testing was to be done, since it was a project, we even performed molecular testing for blood sample as well as serum samples. So every data we have, and we publish that.
Was any follow-up of their participation?
Like I told you that this was a 3-year study, and 2 years we were, every week we were going to those villages. So everything was done, and we also had their animals as well.
I have one question.
Ji, sir.
So you mentioned about an initiative on the Ayushman Bharat or something.
Yeah. Yes.
So what are you trying to do? Like you are trying to find the science behind these mixed studies or homeopathy?
He is the one who is leading that project for Government of India, and she may be able to clarify it better. But then what I know, that we want to establish, or we want to synthesize evidence that these patches, they work. May not work for everything, like allopathy cannot work for everything, but then for certain specific diseases, certain specific medicine, and that's how she has a meeting with NIPER today. So certain medicines, if they are working. If Ramdev Baba claims that coronil will work, we will not agree to that. But then there are certain compounds that have shown results. Like there was a study in Gadchiroli, they were talking about, and then few more studies where actually evidence was synthesized in this RCTs, and they were proven better, or at least not non-inferior. So that is, we want to prove whether these medicines or these kind of treatment, they are good, or at least non-inferior to the allopathic treatment.
So you are trying to generate some data in animal model.
We may have to go for the animal model eventually, but then initially we will start with the community level project, what they have contemplated. One is like both ways they are trying. not exactly going to Ayurveda and Ayurvedic medicine. They are trying to have one village covered with spirituality. She is already doing one project where they are collecting blood samples and trying to see epigenetic changes in families that have been following spirituality, like 3 generations, 4 generations, and they have found that the telomeres, they are elongated in those families. But that data is still not out. But then somebody has to synthesize evidence for that. So that's what we are planning to do. And government is helping us. Yeah, there's someone, yeah.
My question also related to what Dr. Girish asked. So is it not the fact that for now several decades, most of major hospitals in India have multiple departments that deals with either Ayurveda, naturopathy, homeopathy, and all this. The data is already not available that can provide us. Even government has so many Ayurvedic hospitals that deals Ayurvedic, homeopathic, Unani, and all this.
Yeah.
And data is already there in place. So
Yeah.
if you put all this data together, then itself would be a humongous amount of data to analyze and get infrastructure.
That's
In a
right.
single center, let's give you number, and performing what you wanted to achieve, that is really, really
Over ambitious.
yes, over ambitious.
Yes.
So rather doing that, this massive data analysis would be a better thing to do in a
Exactly. So that is why Ministry of Ayush is conducting a meeting on 19th, where at least 11 AIMS, all AIMS have Ayush department. So they will share their data on one single platform, and we will see how that data is coming out. If you talk about different hospitals and different people having departments, so sir, not many RCT, like I told you, not many RCTs have been done. So unless until we have randomized controlled trials, it's very difficult to state categorically that this treatment is better or inferior to the other treatment. So we do not have such data. People have been claiming that this drug is working on this, Thuja is working on what, and that actually works. Kurjarist works on diarrhea. They do work, but then they are like individual treatment, individual medicines from one pathy or the other. But then we have to have a comparative study so that we can categorically state that this mode of treatment and this mode of treatment are equally good, and it's the patient who can decide where does he want to go. So that's what we want to do. See, institute is young, right? But then we are not that young, right? She has been professor in AFMC Pune for more than 25 years or 30 years. I have been in MGMS Sevagram that was established in 1969 for 25 years. Second thing is, since these institutes are developed under DPR, so under that project, everything will come eventually. I'll tell you, when we started our department, we had only one microscope that we borrowed from Department of Physiology. Okay. Till now, he has seen we are using a building that belongs to NIMS, and our buildings are coming up. But yesterday we were told by the ministry that March 24, our hospital will be inaugurated with new building. Under that DPR, all the equipment will come. It's a similar what NIAB started when it started 10, 12 years before. I know that time also there was one professor, I don't remember his name. This was told to me by University of Hyderabad, that he used to conduct different meetings in hotel or in university, and then he was motivating people because future was there. For AIMS BB Nagar also, since it is centrally funded institute, future is there. And if we don't see dreams now, and if we wait till that building will come up, then we will be old enough to dream. So that's how we are doing it. Anji. Yes. Right. See, I'll give you one example. Institute has a budget, right, for infrastructure, including equipment, human resource. Only thing what we will need from various agencies is reagents and some additional human resource, right? Government is helping us by constructing our own building and then BSL-3 and then the CER building also. And we have 201 acres of land like NIAB, and all our buildings are vertical with like starting from 6 floors to 24 floors. We have kept all the land vacant for the future use. And if you are like, and whatever project mode government gives you, whether VRDL or this BSL-3 laboratory, they say that we will support you till 5 years. After that, the institute has to become self-sustainable, and we have to absorb that manpower, and we have to create money for the reagents also. But then I'll give you this example. We started this microbiology department in 2020, effectively 21, and we already have a project manpower to the extent of 25 people, including various scientists and this, paid by different agencies. This the CCMB project with Rockefeller is 50 crore, and then the 17, and this, and the almost amounting to 100 crore rupees, while we do not have a laboratory and we do not have department, right? But we have partners in CC form of CCMB and National Institute of Animal Research. So we are working with them. And that's why, if you see, I have not talked anything about the hospital patient, because our hospital is still coming up. The patient footfall is increasing. We are seeing like 1,600 patients every day, but that is not sufficient because the variety of cases that we need will not be there. AIMS Delhi has a footfall of 10,000 because that is the ceiling. They cannot see beyond that. And we do not have other infrastructure. And that's why we went to the community. So community does not need any kind of infrastructure. They have people, we have anthropologists, we have patients there, but then we have sufficient number of laboratories that can handle this. If that is beyond our capacity, we go to CCS.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So very nice presentations. We came to know about a lot of new dimensions from here. So my question, I think one, as you are taking this approach for basically re-establishing, I understand this homeopathic and this other method of treatment, Ayurveda. So as you told that you will be basically trying to understand what are the active molecules in those form of treatment. What I understand from your talk.
One aspect, yes.
Yeah, so that would be really good thing to know. But in terms of AMR, my question is that as nowadays people say that as so much of AMR cases are coming out, so looking for this other conventional process of treatment like this homeopathy and this may help. But do you think that it, until we know the active compounds in that, it may also pose as a threat to the AMR because we don't know what is the active compound. And as per my understanding, in homeopathy also there are few medicines like leprosal, piperium. They are also known to kind of acting like homeopathic antibiotic. So rampant use of such kind of treatment may also give rise to another kind of ailment. So what is your views on that?
I have been invited by, I think, somebody in Mathura to talk about this. That is later, and I have not contemplated about this. Right now, what we are talking about is not this salutogen. We are talking about this path is about salutogenesis. That means origin of health. We want to talk about health using this. But then eventually we will have to go for those 5% human beings who are sick. But then we have to think about various compounds like Niper will have those compounds. And what was the other institute, Ayurveda?
Indian Institute of
Indian Medical Heritage, National Institute of Indian Medical Heritage. So they also have certain compounds. But right now we are not talking about anything pertaining to AMR. What two models I showed about AMR, they are entirely different from those salutogenic models we are talking about. So that's how it works. But we do not know how and when this will change its trajectory, and we may have to talk about AMR, including these factors. Right now, nothing can be.
Thank you. I'm sorry, sir. I have very good question. If you're interested.
So one question. This is not a question actually, just a concern. And I request your attention and opinion. So India, we know we are the largest animal population country. It's nearer to the 500 million, sorry. And then we have the potential which is directly correlated to the GDP of the country. Okay. And now, if you look at the health sector of the animal compared to the human, it is severely compromised. For human sector, what happened, like we have a lot of diagnostics and the treatment avenues are available. But at animal health sector, if you see, there are the lack in this area. Even though we have that much of the animal population, diagnostic parts we are lacking. Treatment part we are lacking. Now, how it is impacting and why it is so important for the zoonosis is that if animal health is not taken care or it is unreported, and then directly, indirectly, it will transmit to the humans. So my question and my concern was that in your One Health program, if you concentrate and focus on the animal health, so it will be really greatly affect to the other two areas of One Health.
So that's why we have partnered with IVRI and all ICR institutions, and we are trying to work with that. And okay, if we can close this, then I don't know. Of the report, we
talk about
Just micro for online.
So I'm very thankful to Professor Maran to come here and present their dream of aims and what they are doing, especially in the backyards, as we call it, in the rural villages and the tribes. Anybody can go out and you go to cases about who else is sick in the family, who, do they have, where did they come from? Do they have animals? Were they sick? These usually used to happen, but unfortunately, because of diversification, both in science and in medicine, I won't be surprised if, there will be an ophthalmologist for left eye and there will be an ophthalmologist for a right eye. This is where medicine is going, but it shouldn't be. And I think One Health has driven the world back to where we were, back to olden days of medicine where we have to work together. So I was asked to give a little brief about our project here. And we have seen what can be done if you, from their perspective, what can be done if you go to one particular place and focus on things there. So there are several ways of attacking One Health. You can pick up one disease and then work over a wide nation, or you can pick up one area and look at what's happening there in terms of environment, in terms of humans, in terms of animals, and focus on the problem. Now, One Health is a very, very vast subject, and Dr. Naran was talking about social sciences, a very often ignored area that is not integrated, either into veterinary or medicine. None of us in veterinary education have heard about social sciences. We never go through social science as a subject. And I'm pretty sure that's also true for medicine. They go through community medicine. We also go through a public health in veterinary, but never ever we are exposed to social science. I had a project on poultry that we just completed, although because of COVID, we couldn't complete all the objectives, where there was an integration between microbiology, nutrition, economics, public health, and social sciences. There was actually a very heavy social science component where I was exposed to social science research. And the way they were talking, we felt they were talking English, but actually their language is different. And what they want to do is really go to the field and assess what the field requires, and then they work towards that. So we started this project now about one and a half years or a little more ago, trying to look at whether we can establish a network of people working together to understand certain zoonotic diseases. And it went through a series of meetings to different expert panels over almost 8-9 months before the project was finalized. And through all the expertise and our own discussions, we decided to look at 10 diseases. And in those 10 diseases, we picked 2 bacterial, 2 viral, 2 rickettsial, 2 protozoan, and 2 foodborne diseases. And in addition to that, we picked 5 transformative diseases because this whole project was conceived in association with funding that comes to the Northeast. And in the Northeast, they have a lot of issues of diseases coming in animals from outside, from Bangladesh, Myanmar, and these places. So 15 diseases were chosen, and the simple task is to only look at prevalence of these diseases. Now, why are we doing this? The reason is if you look at the zoonotic scenario in India, and if you look at the literature, there's almost nothing available. There's one paper in PLOS One in which they have talked to experts like me or him or anybody else and asked, what do you think is the most common zoonotic disease in India? Of course, rabies comes on the top. but by no means by number, rabies is the #1 disease. The reason rabies is #1 is because it's almost 100% fatal. But it is completely preventable by vaccination. And the way to control that, as well as certain other diseases like brucellosis, is to control them in animals. If you control those animals in diseases in animals, you can almost certainly avoid those diseases in humans. So mainly, if you do not have data, you cannot actually say this is what we want to work on. And of course, our faculty themselves have faced these issues in our scientific advisory committee. When somebody wants to say, I want to work on toxoplasmosis, people ask, well, what's the prevalence in India? If you don't know the prevalence, why do you work on it? So basically, data is lacking in our country. In pockets, they're available. Somebody will do a master, somebody will do a PhD in a particular area. They put their data out, but by no means we do have a comprehensive data on any disease in this country. There's some available for tuberculosis, HIV, and some other diseases, but by and large, there's nothing available. So we started doing this prevalence studies for these 10+5 diseases. And the simple thing is to go to the field, collect the samples, and do the testing and give the data back to the country. That's all there is. There's no science in this project. Simple thing is to look at the prevalence of these diseases. Once we know the prevalence, then we can actually focus on which area to go, which disease to focus on, and what we need to do. Okay, but it has been a humongous task. There are 27 centers involved, and Malti is sitting here day in and day out. She is looking at UC and SEs, utilization certificate and statements of expenditure from 27 different centers. You will get them in 27 different forms. Each form is different. The data is problematic. We spend time in clerical work than doing the actual work. It is really complex working with, Professor Narang was saying, egos, okay, and then different styles of working, different ways of working, because different government departments, state departments, central government, they work differently. So it's been very difficult. However, we have completed one cycle of sampling. I wouldn't say we have done 100%. In some places, we have done 100%. In some places, it's as low as 20 to 30%. But we have done our best. And these samples were based on known epidemiological data, meaning what was the literature available. And based on the literature, you predict what is the simplest or what is the minimum number that is required for one particular disease to assess prevalence. So it is statistically driven, and that's what we have done. And international standards have been followed. So hopefully by the end of the second cycle, we can give a map of India with these 10 different diseases plus the 5 transboundary diseases that other people can now focus on. For example, Gadwas, Ludhiana, they may find that there is an excess of CCHF, which is already known, but it's usually in Gujarat and these areas. But I mean, still not known about the north of Gujarat. So they find something. They may find a local partner, for example, in Jodhpur, and do a deep dive. So the idea is you put the people together, and then can be followed up with a deep dive. We have medical centers as well. Here we have Gandhi Medical College, AIMS Jodhpur, AIMS Delhi, then we have Nazareth Hospital in Shillong. We have RMRC, 2 RMRCs are there. One is Dibrugarh and the other is Gorakhpur. So unfortunately, at the time of writing, we didn't know about Dr. Narang. So hopefully, in the future, we can work with them. And the idea is ultimately, if, for example, Gandhi Medical College finds a case of brucellosis, we should be able to go there and find out where did they get it from. Can we go back to the community and investigate? This is the whole idea. It is not rocket science. Unfortunately, it's not rocket science, but that's what the community needs. So we want to build a foundation where data is available so that people can develop stories around that data. So that is the project, that's the whole project. And I will not speak more about it. And it's really great that we have had this day and we've had excellent speakers. And I hope, you've all enjoyed the talk. And especially, what we can do at the community level.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for giving an overview of One Health project ongoing at NIIB. Now I request Dr. President to give vote of thanks.
So good afternoon, everyone. So on behalf of NIB, I would like to propose this vote of thanks to those who are directly or indirectly involved in organizing this event on World Zoonosis Day. So on behalf of Director, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to esteemed speakers, Professor Rahul Narang and Dr. Pallab Chaudhary, for giving the valuable time and enlightening us about zoonosis, its importance, and the challenges to tackle it. We would like to thank our director, madam, for the support and encouragement for organizing this event. And we would also like to thank our scientist colleagues, administrative technical staff, for all their help and support in making this event successful. Finally, I would like to thank each and everyone who have came over here, present over here, for the active participation and making this event very memorable. Thank you so much.